Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really plunging into a topic that, well, it touches so many lives globally. Dementia. And specifically, we're focusing on some genuinely significant developments coming out of Taiwan recently. It's not just about stats. It's really about the urgency, but also the hope, around new treatments and community support. It's a huge challenge, growing bigger all the time. So our mission today, we want to unpack these latest breakthroughs in treating early Alzheimer's and understand the practical side, the implications of these new therapies. Then we'll explore Taiwan's really quite compelling community approaches and also how tech is playing a role. The aim is for you, listening, to come away feeling well-informed, maybe with some practical insights too. Okay, let's get into it. So let's kick off with the big news, the medical breakthroughs. Taiwan's Ministry of Health, they've made a major move. They've officially approved 2 new treatments for early-stage Alzheimer's. You might be hearing these names more now, Leqembi, which is lecanemab, and Kisunla, which is donanemab. This really feels like a new frontier, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It offers possibilities that, were mostly theoretical until quite recently. And what's fascinating here is how they work down at the molecular level. They specifically target something called beta amyloid plaques.
Okay, beta amyloid plaques. What are those exactly for someone maybe not familiar?
Right, so these aren't just jargon. They're basically abnormal proteins that build up, kind of like gunk in the brain. And they're known for really disrupting memory and thinking processes, interfering with how brain cells communicate.
Okay, so they gum up the works.
Precisely. And the clinical studies have shown something pretty remarkable when these drugs are given early on.
Early on. Key point.
Yes, early stage. They can actually slow down the disease progression by somewhere between 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years. That's significant.
It is. Think about what that means. 4 or 5 more years of clarity, maybe more meaningful interaction, more independence. It's not just delaying the disease itself. It's extending, the quality of life, the personhood for the individual and their family.
And this isn't just theoretical anymore. The practical side is moving fast. The first paid clinic injection was actually scheduled for June 23rd. That marks a real shift.
A tangible starting point, yes.
But we should talk about the cost. It's substantial.
It is. The estimates are around $1 million to $1.5 million per year.
Wow. That's a huge amount for most families.
Absolutely. It's a major consideration. But it's interesting, many families who are considering it, they seem to view it less as just an expense and more as, an investment. An investment in their loved one's quality of life, in gaining more time, more memories, more dignity.
An investment in time.
Yeah.
That changes the perspective.
It fundamentally changes the conversation around what might be possible, even with the financial hurdle.
Okay, so powerful new therapies, significant cost. But who actually gets them? It's crucial to know these aren't for everyone, right? Not a blanket solution for all dementia patients. So who is actually eligible?
That's a really critical point to clarify because, yes, the conditions are very strict. First off, the patient absolutely must be in the early stage of Alzheimer's. We're talking mild cognitive impairment, generally.
So noticing changes, but still functioning reasonably well day to day.
Exactly. Before the disease has caused really extensive damage, it's not for advanced stages. Second, the diagnosis has to be confirmed quite definitively, usually with advanced tests like a PET scan.
That's the brain scan that looks for the plaques.
Yes, or sometimes a spinal fluid test. These look for those specific abnormal protein levels we talked about. It ensures the treatment is targeting the right problem.
Makes sense.
Third, because these are powerful drugs, patients need regular MRI scans. This is vital for monitoring. To watch carefully for potential side effects, things like brain swelling or bleeding, which can happen in some cases.
Okay, safety monitoring. And the treatment itself.
It's quite involved. It typically requires 5V infusions every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah, and ongoing, very diligent follow-ups with neurologists to manage everything. And, this raises an important point about expectations.
What should people realistically expect?
It's so important to understand these drugs are not a cure. They won't reverse damage that's already there.
Okay, not a cure, but
they represent something incredibly valuable. A new window of time. Time to remember more clearly, perhaps. Time to interact more fully with family, with friends. Time to plan.
That extended period of meaningful connection.
Exactly. That's what's truly priceless for many. And for some, that potential benefit, that added quality of life, it outweighs the difficulties, including the financial side.
These individual breakthroughs are, monumental. But they also really highlight the scale of the challenge Taiwan is facing as a whole, don't they?
Yeah.
Let's zoom out a bit. connect these treatments to the bigger picture in Taiwan?
Yeah, the numbers really do paint a clear picture. Currently, we're looking at over 350,000 people living with dementia across Taiwan.
350,000.
And
Mostly older adults.
the vast majority, yes. Age 65 or older. That's about 8% of their entire senior population.
8%. That's already substantial.
It is. And the projections are even more stark. Within the next 7 years or so, that number is expected to climb to around 470,000.
Wow. Nearly 500,000 people in just 7 years.
It's a significant increase in a relatively short time, and it really underscores why innovation beyond just these new drugs is so absolutely crucial.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what's the impact of those numbers?
Well, it creates enormous pressure, not just on the families providing care, but on Taiwan's whole healthcare system.
You mean resources, staffing?
Exactly. Strain on resources, beds, specialist availability. And this challenge isn't spread evenly across the island either. In many rural areas, think places like Taitung, Penghu, Hualien, the situation is tougher.
Fewer resources out there.
Fewer specialized clinics, a real scarcity of dementia specialists. And this really brings home why things like early detection and public education, and especially robust community-based care, are not just nice-to-haves, they're essential for managing this.
Right, building resilience everywhere, not just in the big cities.
Precisely, at every level of society.
So how is Taiwan addressing this? Beyond the hospital walls, these new drugs. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. They seem to be actively expanding dementia care out into the community, integrating it more deeply.
They are. And what's insightful is how this multifaceted approach isn't just about, providing services. It feels like it's also about reshaping attitudes, fostering a sense that this is a collective responsibility, the whole community as a support network.
Not just leaving it to government programs or hospitals.
Exactly. It's a broader societal approach.
So what does that look like practically? What kinds of initiatives are we seeing?
Well, there's a whole range. Things like at-home visits for older patients who maybe can't get out easily,
Right.
bringing care to them.
Makes sense for mobility issues.
Yeah. And daycare programs, too. These offer social interaction, cognitive stimulation, helping patients stay engaged and connected, crucial for slowing decline sometimes. Then there's comprehensive support for the caregivers themselves.
It's so important, often overlooked.
Absolutely. So things like practical training, mental health counseling, which is vital, and peer support groups where they can connect with others in the same boat.
And breaks for caregivers.
Yes! Respite care services,
Yeah.
critically important. Giving that primary family caregiver a necessary break to rest, recharge, avoid burnout.
That must make a huge difference.
It really does. And underpinning all this is a move towards creating what they call dementia-friendly environments, places that actively promote inclusion, reduce stigma, rather than isolating people.
And it's not just the government driving this.
No, you see a lot of active involvement from nonprofit groups, local governments working together. They're offering public education, running family workshops, even helping design safer public spaces that are easier for people with dementia to navigate.
It sounds like a truly holistic approach, really trying to weave support into the fabric of the community.
That's a good way to put it. Transforming how society supports its vulnerable members.
Now, let's shift gears slightly to the cutting edge. Technology. How is tech, specifically things like AI, artificial intelligence, stepping up here? Taiwanese and global researchers are looking into this.
They definitely are. It's an exciting frontier, looking at tools that can sort of quietly work in the background to help.
Help with what exactly? Diagnosis, support?
Both, potentially. For instance, AI tools are being tested right now to analyze very subtle things. Cues in someone's speech patterns, maybe how quickly they recall information, even slight changes in behavior, things that might signal cognitive decline early on, maybe even before a person or family notices significant issues.
Catching it earlier through data analysis.
Potentially, yes. And beyond diagnosis, think about daily support. Smart devices are being developed that could, say, monitor daily routines.
Like noticing if someone hasn't opened the fridge all day?
Something like that, yeah. And sending alerts if anomalies occur, providing an extra layer of safety, especially for people living alone. We're also seeing adaptations of tech many of us already use, like voice assistants or wearable fitness trackers,
How would they help?
being explored for things like medication reminders, appointment prompts, maybe even basic safety functions like fall detection or location tracking if someone wanders.
Interesting. So integrating support into everyday tech.
Right. Now, it's important to say these innovations are still very much developing. It's not all mainstream yet.
Still early days for some of this AI stuff.
Very much so. But the vision is clear. They could become a really crucial, almost seamless part of the care system for both the patients and for the caregivers needing extra support.
Adding that layer of quiet background support.
Exactly.
Okay, this brings us to a really practical point. We've talked about treatments, community care, tech, but let's make this really useful for our listeners. We wanted to include a quick vocabulary corner, key terms related to this topic. Understanding these words can really help when you're reading news about healthcare or maybe talking with doctors. Shall we run through a few?
Good idea. Let's do it.
Okay, first one, dementia. What's the simple definition?
Dementia is basically a medical condition marked by memory loss and the decline in thinking abilities, severe enough to interfere with daily life.
And an example in context?
Sure, like dementia affects nearly 8% of Taiwan's senior population.
Got it. Next, Alzheimer's disease. How is that different?
Alzheimer's disease is actually the most common form or cause of dementia. It's a specific brain disease.
Okay, so dementia is the umbrella term.
Exactly. And an example sentence could be, Alzheimer's disease often progresses slowly over many years.
Okay, term 3, approved. Sounds simple, but in this context.
Approved means officially accepted, usually by government health authorities like a Ministry of Health.
Like in our discussion earlier.
Right. For example, Taiwan approved 2 new Alzheimer's drugs in 2025.
Makes sense. Number 4, early stage. We mentioned this a lot.
Early stage just means the beginning phase of a disease before symptoms become severe.
And the example.
These new drugs we discussed are effective only in early stage Alzheimer's cases.
Crucial distinction.
Yeah.
Okay, 5, symptom progression.
That refers to the speed at which the symptoms of an illness get worse over time.
So for the drugs.
The new drugs aim to slow down symptom progression.
Got it. Halfway through. Number 6, caregiver.
A caregiver is simply a person, often a family member but sometimes paid, who provides care to someone with an illness or disability.
And in Taiwan.
Many caregivers in Taiwan are elderly spouses themselves, which presents its own challenges.
Right. Okay, 7, at-home visits.
These are medical or support services that are actually delivered at the person's home rather than in a clinic or hospital.
Like for rural areas.
Yes, for instance, nurses provide at-home visits for dementia patients in rural areas.
Number 8, daycare program.
This is organized daily care provided for patients, usually seniors or those with disabilities, outside their own home, often in a community center. Offers activities and supervision.
Like a social club, but with care.
Kind of. Example, her mother goes to a dementia daycare program 3 times a week.
Okay, nearly there. 9, respite care. We talked about this.
Yes, respite care is temporary care provided to give a primary caregiver a break from their duties.
Essential for preventing burnout.
Absolutely. Example, respite care allows family caregivers to rest and recharge.
And finally, number 10, AI detection.
This means using artificial intelligence technology to help identify the signs of a disease early on.
Like analyzing speech patterns.
Exactly. So, researchers are exploring AI detection tools for early Alzheimer's.
Great. That's super helpful. Maybe you listening can try using one of those terms this week. So, bringing this all back, what does it mean for you? If you have a loved one, maybe a friend, or even just a neighbor affected by dementia, what can you actually do? We want to stress that even, small gestures can have a really big impact.
Absolutely. And perhaps the first most crucial step, based on our discussion, is encouraging early medical checkups if you notice changes. As we said, timing really matters, especially with these new potential treatments. Early detection just opens up more options.
Don't wait and see, basically.
Right. Beyond that, simple things in the home environment can help. Creating a consistent daily routine can significantly reduce confusion and anxiety for someone with dementia. Clearly labeling household items, closet, bathroom, can also be incredibly helpful for orientation.
Practical tips. What about supporting the caregivers?
So important. If you know a caregiver, offer respite, even just for an hour or 2, or simply offer emotional support. They carry such a heavy load, often silently. Just a listening ear asking how they are doing can mean the world.
Yeah, acknowledge their effort.
Definitely. And when interacting directly with the person with dementia, patience is key. Try to avoid correcting them constantly or arguing about their reality. It's often more helpful to respond with patience, maybe gently redirect, enter their reality rather than trying to force them into ours.
Meet them where they are.
Exactly. And don't underestimate simple connection. Use music they love, engage in simple conversation about the past, share small, calm activities. These things bring immense comfort. And finally, just learn what support services are available locally in your community. There's often more help out there, daycare, support groups, home help, than people realize.
Such valuable advice. And it underscores that whether you're family or a friend or just someone in the community, your presence, your attention, your compassion, it matters so much more than you probably know.
That human connection is truly invaluable. It's the constant thread.
So as we wrap up today's deep dive, it really feels clear that Taiwan is tackling this challenge head on, doesn't it? Moving forward on multiple fronts, you've got these incredible medical breakthroughs offering new hope. You've got the expansion of these vital community support systems, emphasizing that collective responsibility we talked about, and embracing emerging technology too, all aimed at facing dementia with both, well, empathy and real innovation.
It's a comprehensive approach, and while these new treatments absolutely bring a profound sense of hope, something that really shines through is that it's still the human connection, that person-to-person support that seems to make the biggest, most enduring difference day to day. And maybe a key message for anyone listening who is helping someone with dementia: you're not alone in this journey, and neither are they. There is support out there.
That's a powerful reminder. You're not alone. And perhaps a final thought to leave you with. This journey into dementia care in Taiwan really illustrates a fascinating balance, doesn't it? On one side, you have this cutting-edge, high-tech medical science pushing boundaries, trying to buy precious time. And on the other, you have the enduring, maybe even growing, importance of community, of compassion, of simple human kindness weaving that safety net. Makes you think, doesn't it? About how these very different elements, advanced drugs and a patient ear, AI monitoring, and a shared cup of tea, how they have to combine to truly support our aging populations. And maybe how each of us can play a small part in strengthening that safety net right where we live. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.